This conference will now be recorded.
So in the previous session, we have discussed about the web services, and we have discussed what exactly a web service and what is the use and what type of web services are available in Salesforce we have discussed. So that we have discussed Salesforce is providing two types of web services, RESTful web services and the SOAP-based web services, both. We'll see as part of this integration, okay, I will give the information about both RESTful and then SOAP, both. Now, so when coming to the REST-based web services or RESTful web services, these are the most advanced one. Okay, these are the most advanced one which we are using in the real time. 99% of the people are using RESTful web services because these are lightweight and these are very easy to implement. These are very easy to manage also. Now, in this case, when coming to the RESTful web services, what are the various functionalities are available? Now let's see. Basically, REST represents representational state transfer. Representational state transfer. So when coming to the REST is not a protocol. Okay, REST is not a protocol. When moving to the SOAP is a protocol. They're using their own protocol in order to transmit the data from one system to another system, from source to target, target to source also both. But when coming to that REST-based implementation, REST is an architectural style. It's not a protocol, it's an architectural style. So what do you mean by this architectural style? That means they're not using a separate protocol, okay, in order to exchange the data between the multiple systems. They are using the very old HTTP protocol. They're using the old HTTP protocol, and on top of that HTTP protocol, they have added so many functionalities in order to exchange the data between the disparate systems. Now, so that here it is not a protocol, it is an architectural style. It is an architectural style, so which has been purely built upon HTTP protocol. So REST has been implemented on top of HTTP protocol by adding so many additional enhancements. So many additional enhancements they did on top of this HTTP protocol in order to exchange the information between the multiple disparate systems. Because HTTP is a very old protocol which is used to access the internet. So in this case, they're not defining a separate protocol. They're using the same old HTTP protocol, but they did some lot of enhancement on top of this HTTP protocol, okay, which is used to transmit the data between the multiple disparate systems so that the multiple applications can communicate with each other. Now, so in this case, when coming to the REST, in RESTful web services, each feature or each business logic or the each functionality will be referred as a resource. Each business logic, each functionality will be referred as a resource. Now, let me give this information. REST is an architectural style which has been purely implemented based on the HTTP protocol. HTTP protocol. It is using the old HTTP protocol to exchange the data or the functionalities or the business logic between the disparate systems. Now, they're using the old HTTP protocol, and added a set of enhancements on top of HTTP protocol to exchange the data between the multiple third-party applications. Now, so when coming to the RESTful web services, each and every business logic, each and every object, each and every record will be referred as a resource. It will be referred as a resource. Then how they are going to be accessing? Now let me explain. Now, for example, let me take a small scenario. Assume that I am building an employee inventory system. For example, I have an organization. In my organization, we have so many departments are available, like as sales, service, marketing, HR, finance, production planning, like that. Multiple departments are available. In each department, we are having some employees. So every day, the employees coming to the organization, they are working in the respective department. So every month end, we are processing the salaries also. So to maintain all these employees' information, their payrolls information, I would like to build a application that is called as employee inventory system. For example, I would like to develop a small application with the name employee inventory system. Assume that I would like to build this application, an employee inventory system. I'm building an employee inventory system. Now, so as part of this application, I would like to store all my employees' information and their department's information, their salaries information, and everything. Then how can we store this whole information? Now, so in order to store this employees' information, I'm going to be using a separate object. In order to store this employees' information, I'm using a separate object. For example, I'm having an object. With the name employee. I'm having an object with the name employee. That means it's an employee table. In this employee table, I'm having few columns. Okay, I'm having few columns inside this employee table, like employee name column and the employee ID column and the location column. 3 columns are available. So I'm having these 3 columns inside my employee table. I'm having this location column, name column, and the employee ID column. These are the 3 columns are available. Employee ID column, name column, in the location. Now, along with that, I'm storing some department's information also. So in order to store this department's information, I'm having a department object. I'm having a department object. Now, like the similar way, I'm having a department object. There is a department object. In this department object, we're having the two columns are available, department ID and the department name. So we have two columns are available. I'm having the two columns. As part of this department, I'm having two columns are available. I have the department ID, department name, department ID, and the department name. Now, in this case here, along with that, we are having so many other objects also. Like we have so many other objects are also available, like as the contact object, in order to store all the employees' contacts information. And then we are having the payroll object, which is having all the payrolls information. And then they're having the insurance details for their family members. They're offering some insurance also, the insurance details also. Like that, they're having so many objects are available. So like we are having the contact object in order to store all the contact details of these employees, and then their payroll information, payroll object, which is holding their attendance details and then salary details and everything. And then we are going to storing the information about the insurance object, which will be indicating that for okay how much insurance they're offering for each and every employee and their family members and everything. Okay, who are all the people has been opted for the insurance and everything. All this information I'm having. So like that, here we have so many objects are available as part of this employee inventory management system application. Now, so now here in this case here, so these are the various objects are available as part of this RESTful implementation. Okay, as part of this RESTful implementation, and then whatever the objects that we have, whatever the fields that we have, everything will be referred as a resource. Everything will be referred as a resource. That means inside the RESTful implementation, each and every object, each and every field, each and every business logic, each and every functionality will be referred as a resource. Everything will be referred as a resource. Each and every resource will be having some resource name. Okay, every resource will be having a resource name. That means it may be a class also. It may be a table also. It may be a column also. It may be a business logic also. Anything, everything will be referred as a resource. For each and every resource, they're providing the resource name. So they're providing the resource names for each and every resource. Resource name. Because why they're providing the resource name, I will explain this whole concept also. They're providing the resource name because of the security purpose. Okay, because of security purpose here. Now, so for this particular object, they are giving a resource name. Okay, for this particular object, they are giving a resource name. So what is the resource name they're providing over here? Now let me explain. For this object, they are giving a resource name. Each and every object will be referred as a resource. So what is the name they're providing for this resource? Now let me explain. Now, for each and every resource, they are going to be allocating a resource name. Now, so for this resource, they have given the name as employees. employees. You can give any resource name, no problem. Whatever you want, you can provide. And then for this object, they have given the name as department. Department. The actual table name is employee, but they have given the resource name as employees. Here, the actual table name is department, but they have given the resource name as department. That means each and every resource can be identified by using a resource name. Okay, every resource can be identified by using a resource name. So that means it may be an object, it may be a field, it may be a class, it may be business logic, it may be method, everything. Each and everything will be referred as a resource. Then how can we access this each and every resource here? In order to access that resource, we need a URI. Okay, each and every resource can be accessible by using a URI.
Who will provide the resource name?
We will provide that resource name. I will show you that practical concept also as part of RESTful implementation.
Thank you.
Okay. We can give the resource name whatever you want. Okay. Now, in this case, each and every resource can be accessible by using a URI. URI means what? What is the full form of URI? Uniform Resource Identifier. Uniform Resource Identifier. URI means Uniform Resource Identifier. So how can we access each and every resource over here? In order to access this resource, we have to use a specific syntax. Okay, we have to follow a specific syntax. So what is that syntax we have to follow? Now let me show you. We should be having that HTTPS. Okay, HTTPS some sample.com/resource name. Each and every resource can be accessible by using a URI. URI means it's like as a URL. It's like as a URL, so which will be having that resource name also inside this. Which will be having that resource name inside this. So whenever if you want to access each and every resource can be accessible by using a URI like as HTTPS and sample.com/resource name. Sample.com is nothing but our domain name. Okay, our domain name /resource name. We can specify the resource name, whatever the name that we have for this resource, we are going to be using that. Suppose, for example, I would like to access this employee tables information. Then how can we access this one? For that one, we are going to be using the resource name like this. In order to access this resource, we are going to be using this URL like this. HTTP, yes, and then we are going to be indicating some www.some sample.com/ we are going to be indicating employees. We're indicating employees. This is the URI which we are using in order to access this resource. In order to access this resource, we are going to be using this URI. Now, so in order to access this table, we are going to be using sample.com/employees. So in this employees table, whatever the records are available, all the records will be getting visible. Suppose if you want to access this department records, then in this case, we are going to be using the URI like this. We have to specify the HTTPS. We can specify the sample.com/departments. Each and every resource can be identified or accessible by using the resource name. So in order to access this department object, we are going to be using this URI. Now, so now here in this case, now you can raise a question. Sir, suppose for example, in this employee table, I'm having some employee records are available. In this employee table, if I'm having some records are available. Like for example, I'm having some employee records are available. Like I'm having the records like this. The first employee ID is E1001. Name some Ram or some Ramesh. Location some Bangalore. Second one E1002. Some Santosh. His location is from Chennai. E1003. His name is Sampavan. He is from Mumbai. Like that, these are the three records are available inside my employee object. For example, inside my employee object, I'm having these three records are available. I have these three records are available inside my employee object. Then how can we access this particular records? Inside my employee object, these are the records are available. How can we access only that employee record, that is E001? If you want to access only a specific record, just we can able to specify. We can specify that. In order to access that particular record, we are going to be using this https www.sample.com/employees/E1001. That means I am entering into the employee table. In that employee table, I would like to fetch only that particular employee whose ID is E1001. Based on this ID, we are fetching this information. Now, in this case, it returns only that employee's information whose ID is 1001. Now, so for that reason, we are going to be using this URI. So by using this URI, we can access this each and every resource based on the resource name. Then do you want to perform any other operation? How can we get this one? For that one, they are going to be using the protocol. What is the protocol we are using? HTTP protocol. It is using HTTP protocol. We are going to be using that HTTP protocol in order to access each and every resource. By using this HTTP protocol, we can able to interact with this resource. We can perform the operations. That means in this table, we can insert some records, we can update the records, we can delete the records, and then we can able to upset the records also, we can fetch the records also, we can perform all the operations. So by using this HTTP protocol, by using this URI, we can connect to this respective resource, we can access this resource, and we can perform all the operations. As of now, we are having some records are available. If you want to insert one more record, then we can insert. If you want to update an existing record, we can modify. We can delete that records also. We can able to upset the records also. We can fetch the records also. We can perform all the operations on the resource. How? By using this HTTP protocol with the help of some HTTP protocol methods. Because internally they are using this HTTP protocol. So in order to provide the security for the records, they have indicated that HTTPS. HTTPS means it's a combination of HTTP plus SSL. Okay, HTTPS means it's a combination of HTTP plus SSL. So now HTTP secured, nothing but hypertext transmission protocol secured, nothing but your data is completely secured. How? It is providing encryption and the decryption mechanism. So who is providing this encryption and decryption mechanism? SSL protocol. SSL means secured socket layer. Okay, secured socket layer. It's a separate protocol which is having the capability of encryption and the decryption mechanism, so that your content will be converting into some another format. So even though the hacker is hacking that content, they can't understand, because the data has been converted to some another format. Now, for that reason, here they are using this HTTP protocol. Along with that, they are going to be using SSL protocol on top of that. So in order to perform the operations, okay, in order to perform the operations on these particular resources, we are using the various methods given by the HTTP protocol. As part of this HTTP protocol, we have so many methods are available. So what are the various methods are available? Now let me explain. HTTP protocol is providing the various methods. Get method, delete method, post method, put method, and the patch method. These are the various methods has been given by the HTTP protocol over here. By using these methods, we can perform the operations on the resources. Now, in this case, what exactly each and every method indicates? Get means what? We can able to fetch the records, like as read. We can read that records here. That means in order to get the records, we are going to be using this get method. That means to fetch the record, like as some SQL query normal. Delete method is used to delete the record, okay, from the resource. If you want to delete any of the record, then we are using delete method. Post method is used to insert the record. Whenever if you want to insert some records inside that object, we have to use the help of post method. Put method is used to update the records. In order to update the records inside that resource, we are using this put method. And the patch method is nothing but upset. Okay, upset method. That means you know that combination of insert plus update. Okay, combination of insert plus update here. These are the various methods has been given by, okay, the HTTP protocol. On top of this HTTP protocol, they have added all these methods in order to interact with the resources, and we can perform all the operations whatever you want. For that reason, as part of this RESTful implementation is purely using the HTTP protocol. On top of this HTTP protocol, they did some lot of enhancements. They have provided so many functionalities. With the help of this HTTP protocol only, we can able to exchange the information between the multiple third-party systems also. So HTTP protocol is a very efficient one. It's a very efficient one in order to exchange the data between the multiple applications, and then each and every programming language, each and every platform, each and every operating system, each and every database, each and every technology will understand this HTTP protocol. That facility is available over here. Okay, that facility is available. For that reason, okay, on top of this HTTP protocol, they did some lot of enhancements, and they are going to be exchanging the information as part of RESTful implementation. When coming to the Salesforce also, Salesforce is purely built upon RESTful implementations only. Okay, Salesforce is purely built upon RESTful implementation. Let me show you how to access that resources. How to access the resources. Now, for example, assume that I'm having a Salesforce instance. So now let's see. In Salesforce also, we have so many objects are available. I'm having account object, contact, opportunity, hiring manager, position, candidate, lead, campaign, account. So many objects are available. Okay, now you know this object names. We have the object name. Account object, contact, lead, campaign, case, solution, order, user, task, event, group. Like that, you are having your custom object also. Position, candidate, like that. So many objects are available. For every object, it is providing a resource name. Resource name. That resource name is nothing but your object ID. The resource name is nothing but your object ID. So now tell me, what is the object IDs that we have for these objects? For account object, what is the object ID? Long ago we have discussed.
005.
No, account
1.
001. Contact
Contact 002.
003. Lead 00Q. Campaign 701. Case 500. Solution 501. Order 801. User 005. Task 00T. Event 00U. Group 00G. Like that, it is providing that. When you go to the position object, also we have the object ID. For this position object, what is the object ID? A02. For the candidate, A04. This is A02. This is at A04. For each and every object, Salesforce is allocating an object ID. You know that concept. Already we have discussed in our starting classes. As part of configuration, as part of admin, in the starting classes we have discussed object names and the object IDs. This object ID is also called as a schema ID. This is also called as object key prefix. So in this case, these are the resource names. Okay, these are the resource names which has been given by Salesforce for each and every object. For account object, they have given a resource name. Account is nothing but what table. For the table, they have given a resource name. Why? Because if you want to access this account table, you no need to be aware of the table name. You should be aware of resource name. So for example, how to access the account records? Simply go to that, okay, your protocol, HTTPS, okay, ap16.salesforce.com. That means my resource name, and then I would like to fetch my account records. So then what we can do, press 001, press enter. We can fetch all the account records. Okay, all the account records are visible. So what we are using a URI. Account is what? Table. Account table contains so many records. Account table contains so many records. Now, so now here in this case, okay, now here in this case, okay, now here in this case, in order to access that all the records available inside this account object, we are using this, okay, 001. Okay, we are specifying your https/ap16.salesforce.com. That means this is my domain name. ap16.salesforce.com is domain name / we can specify that resource name is 001. I want to fetch the case records. We can specify 500. Okay, 500. These are the standard resource names given by Salesforce. Now, in this case, what the people will know, so now the user will thought of, that means whenever the hacker is hacking that content, they will be hacking this URL. In this URL, they will be aware of that 500. 500 means what they will thought of, this is the table name. But actually, the table name is what? Account. Just they have given a resource name as 500. Okay, that means this is just a resource name in order to access that particular table. But this is not the actual table name. See, that means they're hiding something internally. They're hiding something. They're hiding the actual table names, but just they're exposing some temporary name. They're called as resource name through which we can able to access that. Okay, this is how they are going to be securing the data here. Even when coming to this RESTful implementation, each and every resource will be having a resource name. This resource may be an object also. This resource may be a record also. This resource may be a class also. For every business logic, for every class, for every object, we can give a resource name. You can give any name, whatever you want. But Salesforce has given these names over here. Salesforce has given these names for these resources over here. These are the names has been given by Salesforce. So, but just by using the URI, that means we can use that HTTPS and then your domain name / you can specify that resource name in order to access that resource. So here also we did the same thing. I would like to access my the lead object record. So just you can specify HTTPS ap16.salesforce.com/00q. When you press enter, we can fetch all the lead records. I want to fetch the order object records here. What we can do, we can specify 801. Already have given this information in the starting classes itself. If you want to see all the position records, then what we can specify A02. A02. We can see all the position records. If you want to fetch all the user records, we can specify 005. 005. We can fetch all the users information. If you want to fetch all the opportunities, we can use 006. We can fetch all the opportunities. If you want to get all the solutions, we can use 501. We can fetch all the records. That means what? Each and every resource can be accessible by using resource name. The people will start off, this is the table name, but actually this 501 is not the table name. Okay, the table name is solution, but to access that solution table, they have given a reference name as 501. So this is how they are going to be hiding the data from the hackers, so that we can protect the information from the unauthorized people or from hackers. Okay, this is what the implementation they do internally. Suppose if you want to access a record, then what we are using that record ID. Okay, we are using record ID. So for this one here, once you click on this one, you will be having the record ID. Let's see, this is the record ID here. Okay, this is the record ID. In this record ID, the first 3 characters are nothing but your object name, and then you will be having the actual record IDs available. Okay, the actual record ID is available. Now, when you go to that lead over here, if you want to open any of the lead record, in this case, it is indicating. It is indicating that. So we are having that 00Q, it will be having this record ID over here. Now, so now here in this case, okay, now here in this case, in order to access each and every resource, we are using this URI. Here also they are using this HTTPS protocol here, HTTP protocol. On top of that, they did so many enhancements. Okay, this is how we are accessing the resources by using the resource name as part of RESTful implementation. Okay, now let me give that note point over here. Now, Now, so as part of this RESTful implementation, each functionality, each business logic, each object, each class will be referred as a resource. Now, in RESTful web services, each business logic or functionality or data will be referred as a resource. Referred as a resource. For each resource, we can provide the resource name. Resource name. For each and every resource, we can provide the resource name. Resource name. We can access each resource by using the URI. URI. Uniform resource identifier. Uniform resource identifier. Syntax. We can specify HTTP www.somesample.com/resource name. Resource name. We can specify. Now, Salesforce provides a resource name for each object. For each object as below, which is also referred as object ID or schema ID or object key prefix. Object key prefix. Now, we can access each object records as below. For example, we can use HTTPS some ap16.salesforce.com/001, which will get account records. HTTPS ap16.salesforce.com/005, which returns user records. HTTPS ap16.salesforce.com/801, which returns order records. Like that, we can able to fetch each and every resource by using the resource name. Now, so in this case, how can we implement the RESTful web services inside your Salesforce instance? Inside your Salesforce instance, how can we access each and every resource over here? Okay, how can we access each and every resource? Now, in this case, to access the resources, over the HTTP protocol, we have to use the below HTTP methods. We have to use the below HTTP methods. So whenever if you want to access the resources and if you want to perform the operations, okay, we are going to be using HTTP methods. So HTTP protocol provides the 5 methods to you, like get method, delete method, post method, put method, and the patch method. Okay, now in this case, HTTP protocol provides the below 5 methods. 5 methods to be used to interact. With the resources. to perform the operations. The first one is get methods, which is used to get the records from the resource, which is used to get the records from the resource. We are using this get method. And the second method, delete method. This delete method is used to remove the records from the resource. Third one, post method, which is used to insert the new records into the resource. Fourth one, put method, which is used to update the existing records in the resource. Fifth one, patch method. This is used to perform the upset operation on the records. That is both update plus insert. That means we can insert some new records, we can update some new records also. These are the various methods has been given by the HTTP class. So the HTTP class has given these are the various methods are available. So whenever we are going to be implementing this RESTful web services will expose a response in the form of either JSON or XML or text-based format also. Now, so whenever we are implementing this RESTful web services can expose the information or the data in the form of either text format like as HTML, or it may be JSON, it may be XML. But nowadays, most of the applications are using JSON format. JSON is very, very lightweight format, which is very easy to parse, very easy to implement. For that reason, most of the applications are using JSON format of implementation. The two, every mobile application, every smartphone is implementing or accessing the resources with the help of this JSON format only. Now, so that the most of the mobile applications and cloud applications are supporting the RESTful web services, because these are very, very lightweight and these are very easy to implement, okay, and to parse the content also here. That facility is available. Now, in this case here, now let's see that one point. RESTful web services will expose the response in the form of either JSON or XML or text-based format. So most of the mobile applications, cloud applications, web applications are supporting the RESTful implementations, RESTful web services, because RESTful web services are very lightweight, easy to implement, and easy to parse. That's what here most of the applications are supporting RESTful web services. Okay, the most of the applications are purely supporting RESTful web services. Now, so now here in this case, as part of this RESTful implementation, how can we implement? So whenever we are going to be implementing the RESTful web services, Each and every RESTful web service contains two things. One is a provider, second one is a consumer. You know that concept here, not the different one. Provider means which expose a set of resources, okay, to the third party system. Okay, we are having that a provider. Provider is nothing but a system, okay, which is providing a set of resources, a set of functionalities, a set of business logics will be exposing to that third party application. Consumer is nothing but, okay, the consumer is nothing but a system or an application which consumes the resources which has been exposed by the provider. Now, so when coming to the consumer is nothing but a client system, okay, which consuming, okay, which consumes resources, okay, invoking, okay, by the provider. So it is going to be accessing those resources through integration, and then it will be consuming those resources. It will make a request, it will get the response from that respective provider, and that response it will be using in the application processing. Now, so in this case, how can we implement this web services here? Whenever if you want to implement the web services by using this Apex programming, that means what? We are going to be implementing our own web services, RESTful web services, and which we are exposing to the third-party system, so the third-party systems can able to access our web services also. Now, by using Apex programming, we can build our own RESTful web services, and expose and can expose the web services to the third-party systems. In order to have the integration. So as part of this REST Apex programming also, we can able to implement our own RESTful web services. For that here, whenever if you want to implement the RESTful web services by using this Apex programming, so we are going to be using the various annotations. Okay, we are using these various annotations. Now, in this case, to prepare the RESTful web services, Apex provides the below annotations. Apex provides the below annotations. What are the various annotations has been given by Salesforce? That means Apex programming. Now let's see. The first one, @REST resource. Second one, @get. This is also called as HTTP get. Okay, and then third one, @HTTP delete. Fourth one, @HTTP post. @HTTP patch. @HTTP put. These are the various annotations has been given by Salesforce. As part of Apex programming, whenever if you want to implement a RESTful web service, then we are going to be using the help of these annotations. As part of this Apex REST, we are going to be using this RESTful annotations. To prepare this RESTful web services, we are using these annotations because @REST resource, @HTTP get, HTTP delete, HTTP post, HTTP patch, HTTP put. These are the various annotations has been given by Salesforce. Then by using these annotations, we can prepare our own resources, and then we can able to expose these resources to the third-party system over here. Now, so in this case, what we can do? So what exactly the REST resource annotation? Each and every annotation will see. @ REST resource. So what is the use of annotation and how can we implement? Then what we can do, now let's see. So basically, this annotation is used to expose a Apex class as a web service to the third-party system. For example, I have prepared a Apex class. Okay, I have prepared an Apex class. Assume that this is my Apex class. Now I want to expose this Apex class to the third-party system, to an SAP system or banking system, finance system, whatever, anything. Whenever if you want to expose this Apex class as a web service to the third-party system, we are going to be using this annotation called as @REST resource. So this annotation is used to expose a specific class, okay, to the third-party system so that we can have the integration. Then how can we do this one? Suppose here that already told you in the initial classes itself of integrate web services. Web service is nothing but simply a class, a business logic, which we are exposing to the third-party system, which are consuming by the third-party systems over here. Okay, which are consuming by the third-party systems. Then how can we implement this one here? Now let's see. Now, this annotation is used to expose a business logic class. This annotation is used to expose a business logic class to the third-party system. To third-party system, so that it can consume the web service. It can consume the web service to exchange the data. Now, in this case, whatever the web service class that you are going to prepare, that web service class should be always defined as global. Okay, every web service class should be defined with the global access specifier. That is a fundamental principle. Now, note, each web service class should be defined with the global access specifier. Each web service class should be defined with the global access specifier. So in this case, how can we give the resource name over here? For each and every web service class, we can give a resource name. Now, so now here in this case, each web service class should be identified by using a resource name. Resource name which can be provided. It can be provided by using the @REST resource annotation. @REST resource annotation. So REST resource, nothing but this is a resource which can be accessible over the internet by using HTTP protocol, because this is a RESTful resource. This is a RESTful web service which can be accessible over the internet by using the URI with the help of HTTP protocol. So for that reason, each and every RESTful web service class should be prefixed with the annotation @REST resource. Now, that is, each RESTful web service class should be prefixed with @REST resource annotation. Each RESTful web service class should be prefixed with the REST resource annotation. That facility is available here. Then how can we do this one? What is the syntax of this? Now let me explain. In this case, the syntax we can specify global class name. This is a class which I'm implementing here. I'm providing some methods, right? The business logic. Write the business logic. I want to make this class can be accessible by the third-party system. At that time, we have to define this class with, okay, at the rate REST resource. REST resource. So I'm going to be indicating this class with at the rate REST resource annotation. That means this is a RESTful web service class which can be accessible over the internet by using the URI with the help of a HTTP protocol. Then how can we
Can
access
we
this
use
class? What is the name of this class? We need to provide the resource name. How to provide the resource name? For that one, we have a parameter called as URL mapping. URL mapping, we can specify slash, we can specify the resource name slash star. That means this can be accessible from any third-party applications also. Whenever we are defining any web service class, then first of all, the first rule will be the class should be defined as a global, and then that class should be prefixed with the help of an annotation at the rate REST resource annotation. And for this one, to access this class, we are using the resource name here. You can specify the resource name which you want. You can give any resource name, whatever you want here. Resource name can be specified by using URL mapping. Okay, URL mapping. Now, in this case here, okay, now here in this case, for example, URL mapping is a parameter which is used to specify the resource name. I'm indicating. URL mapping parameter is used to URL mapping parameter is used to specify the resource name through which the web service class can be accessible. By using which resource name we can able to access this web service. For that one, we are specifying the resource name by using this REST resource annotation with the help of URL mapping parameter. Suppose, for example, I'm preparing a class, global class accounts manager. This is the class. I want to expose this class here. Here I have written some business logic. I want to expose this class to the third-party system. For that one, I want to give a resource name. So that I'm using REST resource. Here we can specify URL mapping equals to, we can specify slash, you can give any resource name. Like I'm indicating accounts service. Star. Now we can specify this. That means whenever if third-party people wants to access this particular resource, okay, they are going to be using this resource name. Okay, they are going to be accessing this resource by using resource name. That means they are accessing the resource by using this name, but they don't know the actual class name. The actual class name is what? Accounts manager. But they are going to be accessing my class by using accounts service. That's it. That means instead of disclosing my actual class name, I'm giving a temporary name. I'm giving a resource name, so based on which they can able to consume my web services also. That means they can consume my class, they can access my business logic inside. Like the similar way we can prepare here. Okay, like the similar way we can able to prepare. Now, for example, I'm preparing one more RESTful web service class, global class case helper. I'm writing some business logic. Write the business logic. So I want to expose this class as a web service, so that we are using at the rate REST resource. Specify the URL mapping equals to, you can give the resource name. So what is this resource name? I'm giving the resource name as case manager service. You can give any name. Case manager service. Like that, here we can able to prepare your own classes, and these classes we can expose to the third-party system in the form of a RESTful web service by giving a resource. That facility is available. So each RESTful web service class should be defined with a global access specifier, because here this will be accessing by third-party application. That means outside of the organization, so that this class can be accessible from the outside of the organization. So we have to define this class as global, and then in order to access that class, they need a resource name. We are indicating the resource name also. Then how the third-party people can access this class? How the third-party people can access this resource over here? Now, in this case, RESTful web service. Accessing the RESTful web service. How they can access? This is also called as endpoint or endpoint URL. How they can access this RESTful web service? Each and every RESTful web service can be accessible, okay, with the help of the URI. So how they are going to be accessing this one? Now let's see. As part of Salesforce, how those people can able to access this Salesforce RESTful web services. Now, each RESTful web service can be accessible by the third-party systems with the help of URI. The help of URI as below. So what is the syntax? In this case, you have to specify HTTPS. You can specify your server number dot salesforce.com /services /apex rest / you can specify your resource name. So as part of Salesforce implementation, whatever the Salesforce related web services that you would like to access, which are RESTful web services, then we have to use this URI. Specify the protocol HTTPS and then specify your server number where exactly the resource has been available, and then salesforce.com /services. That means I'm accessing the web services. What web services? RESTful web services, so that we can specify apex rest / you can specify the resource name. Like for example, I would like to access this RESTful web service, that is accounts service. How can we access? In this case, we can access this resource by using HTTPS some ap16.salesforce.com /services /apex rest /accounts service. Accounts service. In order to access this accounts service, we don't need to be aware of the class name, just we need that resource name. We can give any name for your resource. This is how we are providing the resource name. Now, if you want to access this second resource over here, this is the second class. I want to access this case helper class. Then for that one, we have to use that resource name as case manager service. In this case, we can specify HTTPS ap16.salesforce.com /services /apex rest /case manager service. Like this, we need to access this particular resource. So we need to prepare that RESTful web service classes just by defining the class as global class, and then we can able to define this each and every class with @REST resource annotation, and then we can specify the URL parameter. That means URL mapping, which is a parameter of REST resource annotation to specify the name of that resource. In order to specify the resource name, we are going to be using this particular resource name. Instead of using the class name, we can able to access that web service by using web service name. This is also called as endpoint URL. This is the endpoint URL here. In order to access that, we are using endpoint. Endpoint means target system. Okay, target web service URL. Okay, this is how we are going to be preparing RESTful web services. And then how to implement the business logics and how to prepare the methods, how to perform the operations like as get operation, delete operation, post, patch, put operations. We'll see in the next session. In the next session, we'll see how can we perform the operations through RESTful web services. We'll see practically in this case. Okay. Now, Okay, so go through this information and then try to prepare some classes and then make it as a RESTful web service. How to consume and then how to implement the business logic inside that we'll see in the next session. Okay. Now, thank you guys. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Feroz.